Hey everyone, welcome back to Liberal Breakdown. Today I want to talk about something that's honestly both inspiring and infuriating. Harvard University is taking a stand against the Trump administration, and not just over some minor policy disagreement, but over a full-blown assault on diversity and academic freedom.
The major clash is now unfolding between President Trump and his battle against some of America's top universities, announcing this evening more than $2.2 billion in federal funding has been frozen for multi-year grants and contracts at Harvard. That comes after Harvard said tonight that it was rejecting a list of demands from the administration on sweeping changes and would fight back against them. Those demands came from a federal task force that the administration says is combating anti-Semitism on college campuses following protests against the war in Gaza. But the list of demands included things like dismantling diversity initiatives, auditing academic and hiring practices, and also installing leaders who are committed, the White House said, to implementing the changes they want to see. We saw a response from Harvard tonight, and the legal team responding to that saying, quote, "The university will not surrender its independence or relinquish its constitutional rights. Neither Harvard nor any other private university can allow itself to be taken over by the federal government."
The Trump administration, in its ongoing crusade to gut anything that smells like progress or inclusion, demanded that Harvard dismantle its DEI programs. They also wanted the university to roll back policies supporting campus activism, particularly those addressing anti-Semitism, and basically fall in line with federal pressure. And when Harvard said no, the administration responded by freezing more than $2.2 billion in federal grants and contracts. That's right, they're literally trying to financially choke one of the world's most prestigious academic institutions just because it won't play ball with their culture war agenda. But Harvard didn't back down. President Alan Garber said, quote, "We will not compromise our commitment to academic freedom, institutional integrity, and the values that define us." That's powerful, and it's exactly the kind of backbone we need from our institutions right now. Now, CNN's Caitlin Collins recently spoke with Harvard law professor Andrew Crespo about this, and the message was clear.
Well, thanks so much for having me. And while this cut is obviously deeply disappointing and a real blow, not just to Harvard, but to higher education across the United States, it's not exactly unexpected. The Trump administration has been threatening to withhold and then withholding millions and then billions of dollars from some of the leading institutions of higher education in the country. The impacts of those cuts will be severe, not just to cutting-edge research, cures for cancer, cures for diseases, studies that try to understand the most cutting-edge technology, but also all of the work that happens at these universities with respect to how we study our history, the things that are essential to our democracy. There's a lot that happens at these universities that are essential to having a free democracy, and that's, I think, exactly the reason why they're all under attack. So the impact is significant, but I'm really proud to see Harvard standing up to fight. Well, I think the Trump administration's decision to cut $2.2 billion from Harvard tonight makes clear just how essential this lawsuit is and how critical this fight is, and why it's so important for Harvard and really every university in the country to take a stand at this critical moment, because this is a clear, unquestionable violation of First Amendment rights.
This is about more than Harvard. This is about the precedent it sets. If the federal government can threaten billions just to force ideological conformity, what happens to the rest of our colleges, our schools, our press? As a regular person watching all this, I'm thinking, this isn't just some elite university problem. This affects students, researchers, and future generations. We're talking about cancer research, climate innovation, tech development, all the things that come out of federally funded programs. Trump's willing to risk all of that for what? To kill DEI programs that aim to make campuses more inclusive? Let's be real. This isn't about waste or wokeness. It's about power. It's about erasing marginalized voices and forcing institutions to fit a narrow political mold. And honestly, I'm glad Harvard is saying no. This moment matters. Whether you're a student, an educator, or just someone who believes in fairness and freedom, this fight affects all of us.
We're focusing in on independence on this one.
Yes.
So where does he stand with independence? Just kind of base.
Yeah, we'll focus in on independents here. And independents feel that Donald Trump has vacated the center of the electorate, catering to his base. What are we talking about? Well, let's talk about the overall net approval ratings. We're going to look at the worst ever at this point in a presidency. The old record among independents for the worst ever was Donald Trump back in 2016, a net approval rating of minus 16 points. Well, Donald Trump has broken his own record here. He now holds, in this particular term, the worst ever net approval rating at this point in a presidency among independents at, get this, minus 22 points. He is 22 points underwater with independence. That breaks the old record that belonged to Trump. He has set the new record. He is completely underwater with the center of the electorate, Kate Ball.
Independent voters, the people who don't claim a party, who often decide the outcome of elections, they're leaving Donald Trump in record numbers. And honestly, I can't blame them. I mean, just look at the facts. Trump is out here bragging about new tariffs, acting like it's some genius move to hurt China. But let's be real. It's American families, small businesses, and working people who end up paying the price. Prices go up, shelves get emptier, and everyday people are struggling even more because of these so-called strategic moves. Then there's the legal stuff. The man is literally convicted on multiple felony counts. How is this even a conversation anymore? Nearly half of independents, people who gave him a chance, are now saying he should just drop out. They're not woke. They're not radical left. They're just done with the chaos. And the MAGA act? It's stale. It's tired. People don't want to live in a country that feels like a reality TV show every day. They want leaders who work together, solve real problems, and aren't using office as a personal revenge tour. You've even got longtime donors and big business people saying under Trump, access is for sale. If you've got money, you get what you want. If you're just a regular voter, good luck. That's not democracy. That's a political auction. So yeah, independents are walking away, and I think that's the clearest sign we've seen yet. People are tired. They want decency. They want truth. They want a president who works for all of us, not just the rich and powerful. And if you ask me, it's about damn time.
Out of the legal showdown over a wrongfully deported Salvadoran national. The Trump administration is resisting a Supreme Court order to facilitate the man's return to the U.S., and El Salvador's president refused to send the men back in a White House meeting with President Trump.
It's a nightmare scenario here. The Trump administration admits it mistakenly deported Kilmar Abrego Garcia to that notorious prison in El Salvador, and now they say the U.S. is powerless to get him back, despite an order upheld by the Supreme Court to bring him home. This morning, a stunning comment from President Trump caught on a live streaming camera before reporters were in the Oval Office, telling the president of El Salvador he'd like to send American citizens convicted of crimes to prisons in El Salvador.
I said, homegrowns are next. The homegrown's built. You got to build about 5 more places. Yeah, that's big. All right. It's not big enough.
Minutes later, with reporters in the room, Trump said he wants Attorney General Pam Bondi to see if the law allows this.
I'd like to include them in the group of people to get them out of the country, but you'll have to be looking at the laws on that.
Salvador made clear he's got no plans to send Abrego Garcia back to the U.S.
How can I return him to the United States? Like I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it.
Now, let me break this down. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a Maryland resident. He was protected by a 2019 court order that explicitly said he could not be deported. And yet, ICE deported him to El Salvador last month. Let that sink in. The federal government ignored a court order. How did this happen? Well, ICE says it was an administrative error. But here's the thing. Once they realized the mistake, nothing was done. Nothing. The Biden administration, despite a federal judge's demand, has yet to bring this man home. And where is Kilmar now? Locked up in one of the world's harshest prisons, El Salvador's high-security terrorism confinement center, a place meant for gang members and drug traffickers, not wrongly deported U.S. residents. And even President Bukele says he doesn't have the power to release him. So now we're stuck in this diplomatic mess. U.S. District Judge Paula Sinis ordered Kilmar's return by April 7th, stating this was irreparable harm. Yet here we are, April 15th, and he's still not back. If our government can ignore court orders and get away with it, what's next? What does that say about our democracy? The Trump-era immigration policies created a system with no accountability, and unfortunately, those systems are still affecting lives even now. This case proves that. It's not just bureaucracy, much real lives being shattered. So what now? We must keep the pressure on. Congress should demand answers, and we need to make sure that our government respects the judiciary, or we risk losing one of the pillars of our democracy. Justice for Kilmar. Bring him home. If you agree, share this video, leave a comment, and let's keep the conversation going.